Wendy's has more than 6,500 locations across the globe, making it the third largest burger franchise in the world. Founded in 1969, today the company is worth billions and has become beloved by people all over the world who love their burgers and fries. But there are a few little-known facts about the chain that may surprise you. Frosty origins. There are plenty of classic menu items to choose from at Wendy's, like the tried-and-true Frosty. But did you know this creamy favorite has been around since Wendy's was first founded in 1969? According to the official Wendy's website, founder Dave Thomas wanted a dessert so thick you had to eat it with a spoon. And so the Frosty, conceived as a cross between a milkshake and soft-serve ice cream, was born. To keep the chocolate flavor from being too overwhelming, Thomas added vanilla to the recipe. The result was a sweet chocolate treat that perfectly complemented a hamburger. While this chocolate-vanilla combo was the default Frosty flavor for decades, the Vanilla Frosty launched in 2006. Unexpected success. When Wendy's was launched in 1969, there were just 5 items on the menu. Thomas didn't have great ambitions for the first restaurant he opened in Columbus, Ohio. He simply wanted a small local chain where his kids could work in the summer. Despite his modest expectations, Thomas soon found himself with a successful business. He opened a second Wendy's after a year, and by 1974, sales totaled at nearly $25 million. By the end of 1976, not even a decade since the company was started, there were 500 Wendy's locations.
Gee, this is pretty good.
Famous face. Dave Thomas had 4 kids and knew one of them would become the face of the restaurant. But he wasn't playing favorites when he picked 8-year-old Melinda, nicknamed Wendy. She told People in 1990, "Dad wanted a name that was easy to remember, and he wanted an all-American mug. I was redheaded and had freckles and buck teeth, so I got elected." Wendy admitted to often being embarrassed because of her famous face. There was always teasing, it just goes with the territory. Dropout to entrepreneur. The success of Wendy's is even more impressive when you look at the history of Dave Thomas. A high school dropout, Thomas served in the Korean War before becoming a cook. He went on to work at Kentucky Fried Chicken, where he came up with the idea for the KFC chicken bucket. After climbing through the ranks, Thomas left the company in 1969 and founded Wendy's. The rest is history. After Wendy's became a success, a 61-year-old Thomas went back to school to earn his GED. He then founded the Dave Thomas Education Center to help other high school dropouts earn their GEDs as well. Value pioneer. Value menus have been standard at fast food restaurants for decades, but Wendy's was the first, launching the first value menu in 1989, nearly a decade before Burger King got on the value menu train in 1998. Denny Lynch, the senior VP of communications for Wendy's, explained why the company decided to offer menu items at a discounted price. At that time, all of the hamburger chains were going after each other, and it escalated to the point where we were seeing 99-cent Whoppers and Big Macs. We had the idea of, rather than selling one of our big items at 99 cents, creating a whole menu with 99-cent items. We wanted our customers to be able to make a full meal with these lower-priced items. Hip to be square. Wendy's is noted for the unusual shape of its hamburger patties. There's a good reason the patties are square instead of round. Thomas got the idea for the square patties from a Michigan restaurant called Kewpie Burger, which serves square-shaped patties. Thomas decided to incorporate these patties so customers could easily see the freshness of the meat. The corners of the square patty stick out past the circular bun, making it easy to see just how juicy the burger really is. Beef Lady Beef. Wendy's launched a series of memorable commercials in 1984, featuring a catchphrase that became world famous.
"Where's the beef?"
The commercials were so successful that Wendy's became synonymous with the phrase, and the actress delivering it, Clara Peller. But Peller was fired in 1985 for starring in a Prego spaghetti sauce commercial. In the commercial, Peller announced that she had finally found the beef, angering Wendy's. A spokesperson for the chain said, "The commercial infers that Clara found the beef at somewhere other than Wendy's restaurants. Unfortunately, Clara's appearance in the ads makes it extremely difficult for her to serve as a credible spokesperson for our products." Limited breakfast. While Wendy's is one of the most successful fast food companies in the world, it's stuck to mainly serving lunch and dinner, unlike many of its competitors who have breakfast menus. Wendy's has experimented with breakfast menus in the past, but never experienced enough success to launch a permanent nationwide breakfast menu. CEO Emil Brolick told Bloomberg, "We have tested breakfast many times over the years, and we feel, as virtually the only large national chain that hasn't gotten into breakfast, it's very difficult to enter that space today and commit the kind of marketing resources that we feel would be necessary to really entrench ourselves successfully." While the restaurant does have a limited breakfast menu, it's only served in select locations. So if you're chowing down on Wendy's at sunrise, consider yourself lucky.
How many times have you had lunch at Wendy's because you were more interested in the Frosty than the burgers and fries? No matter how many times you've eaten a Frosty, though, there's plenty you probably don't know about this irresistible treat. Here's the untold truth of the Frosty. Simply original. Wendy's founder Dave Thomas learned how a simple menu helped with sales when he managed a few Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises in the early 1960s. When Thomas opened the first Wendy's in Columbus, Ohio in 1969, he carried over the same idea of a simple menu. At Wendy's, that original menu consisted of 5 items: hamburgers, chili, french fries, soft drinks, and the Frosty. The original chocolate Frosty remains on the Wendy's dessert menu today. Shelley Thobe, director of culinary innovation at Wendy's, told Thrillist that people have probably been dipping their fries into their Frosties for just as long. Temperature is key. Part of the appeal of the Frosty is its unique texture. It's not quite like a milkshake, and it's not quite soft-serve ice cream. That's because founder Dave Thomas wanted a dessert that mimicked the extremely thick milkshakes he loved as a kid. But he wanted it to require a spoon, not a straw. And he succeeded when he created the Frosty.
But it's not a solid or a liquid.
So?
That can only mean that it's a sockquid.
To maintain the desired thickness and texture, Wendy's serves the Frosty at between 19 and 21 degrees Fahrenheit. It's up to you whether you can finish it before it moves out of that magic temperature range. Inflation has been kind. The Frosty on the original Wendy's menu cost only 35 cents, and although the current price is nearly triple what it was 49 years ago, the Frosty remains a reasonable value. Today, a small Frosty costs about $1 at regular price at most locations, though frequent promotions often make it even less expensive. At just $1, the Frosty has remained a reasonably priced fast food dessert option versus its competitors. For example, a small Blizzard from Dairy Queen costs an average of $3.69 in 2018, which is almost $1 higher than it was just 1 decade ago. The original McDonald's milkshake was 20 cents in the 1950s, but a small milkshake runs $2.19 on average at McDonald's in 2018. The Frosty is king when it comes to value, and you know there's no beating something that's both delicious and cheap. Formula hacking. If you want to try to hack the Wendy's Frosty formula, there are plenty of websites that give you advice on trying to duplicate the Frosty formula at home, and Wendy's even lists the ingredients for the Frosty online, so that part is no secret. But most of the ingredients aren't ones you probably keep in your pantry, and good luck finding out how much you need of each.
They want Frosty? They do not get Frosty.
The current Wendy's formula is nearly identical to the original formula from 1969, according to Denny Lynch, the former senior vice president of communications at Wendy's. He revealed, "The only difference is that ice cream has a large amount of butterfat, so we've lowered the percentage of butterfat in our Frosties to meet customer demand." Most of the at-home recipes include things like chocolate milk and ice cream machines, and they might get you close, but there's nothing like the real thing. If you want Frosties on demand, it's best to just take a trip to Wendy's and fill your freezer. Not so chocolate. When he created the Frosty in 1969, Dave Thomas wanted the dessert to have a light chocolate flavor that wouldn't overwhelm the taste of the burgers for his customers. So he instructed his supplier to mix chocolate and vanilla dairy products to create the mild flavor of the chocolate Frosty. In fact, in the early days of franchising Wendy's restaurants, not every location had constant access to Frosty mix thanks to supply chain challenges. When that happened, the restaurants were instructed to use a 50-50 mix of vanilla and chocolate soft serve mix to create the Frosty until they were able to get their hands on the official Frosty mix. What's in a name? Although the Frosty has been around since the beginning, Wendy's didn't trademark the name until recently, filing a federal trademark application in 2013. Soon after, Wendy's filed a lawsuit against United Dairy Farmers, which was selling a frozen dairy product called Frosties, made for consumption at home. The packaging of Frosties consisted of a yellow background with red lettering and looked strangely familiar. The two eventually settled the lawsuit late in 2013 when United Dairy Farmers agreed to stop using the Frosties name. Frosty Fun Run. If you love Frosties but feel a little guilty about all the calories, we have the perfect option in the Wendy's Frosty 5K Fun Run and Walk in Columbus, Ohio. Exercise first, then enjoy a guilt-free Frosty. When you pay an entry fee and sign up for the Wendy's Frosty 5K, which normally occurs in July, you'll receive a t-shirt, finisher's medal, and best of all, a Frosty at the finish line. In 2018, the race had more than 800 participants and raised $110,000 for the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption.
Wendy's has had its famous chili on the menu since the very first restaurant opened in 1969. Here's the story of why Dave Thomas wanted chili on the menu when he launched Wendy's. The full name of Wendy's is Wendy's Old-Fashioned Hamburgers. Wendy's famous burgers have propelled the company for more than 50 years and informed its menu, even in non-traditional fast food side items. According to the chain's website, the first restaurant opened for business on November 15, 1969, with just one outlet in Columbus, Ohio.
I started Wendy's with one restaurant and a philosophy. Don't have hamburgers sitting around. Serve them hot off the grill.
The initial menu was brief and extremely uncomplicated. Wendy's sold burgers, fries, soft drinks, the Frosty, and in a wildcard play that immediately differentiated itself from other fast food outlets, chili. It cost just 55 cents, the same as a single patty hamburger did at the time. Over time, Wendy's grew into one of the biggest and most dominant hamburger chains on the planet, serving both classical and experimental takes on the beef, cheese, bun formula, along with plenty of other standard fast food items like fries, chicken sandwiches, chicken nuggets, and kids' meals. Even after more than 50 years on the scene, not too many other mainstream hamburger-oriented fast food outlets have ever bothered to take Wendy's lead and sell an original recipe chili. It's such an anomaly that in his book Dave's Way, Wendy's founder Dave Thomas admitted that people have often asked him why he chose to have chili on the Wendy's menu. His justification is viable both in 1969 and today. It was a way to cut down on food waste and turn a small profit off of meat that would ordinarily have gone into the trash. Fast food workers have to work, well, fast, and sometimes that means grilling up enough burgers to meet anticipated demand. But what happens to patties that get cooked but not sold or eaten? Some restaurants would just throw them away and suffer financial loss. Wendy's doesn't do that. It saves unsellable meat for its famous chili.
That's a heck of a good idea.
Even though Dave Thomas wanted hot chili on the Wendy's menu before he even opened his first store in 1969, he was briefly stymied on just how exactly he was going to pull it off. Thomas wrote in his memoir, Dave's Way, "The recipe was the hard part. The exact combination of beef, spices, vegetables, and multiple kinds of beans was struck upon only after what Thomas called, quote, marathon cooking sessions that took place in his own kitchen at home, led by his wife, Lorraine, and in the kitchen of Charlotte Emke, spouse of Len Emke, a car dealer and close friend of Thomas, who also helped secure the real estate to open the first Wendy's. Lorraine Thomas and Charlotte Emke developed and finalized the recipe for Wendy's chili that was sold in the first restaurant on the first day, and hasn't really changed all that much since." Wendy says its chili is chili, and upon a quick examination, it certainly seems like chili. It smells like onions and tomatoes, and is made with beef and tasty spices and flavorings after all. But some chili purists could argue that Wendy's chili is not technically that. It's full of vegetable chunks as well as beans. In Texas-style chili, vegetables are cooked and broken down or pureed until they're part of the whole reddish-brown mixture, while beans are generally not included at all. And all those ingredients float inside of a fairly thin broth, unlike the rich, thick gravy meets marinara texture of Texas chili. Wendy's chili, in other words, is a beef and bean soup. But whatever it is, Wendy's uses a not-so-secret recipe for its signature spoon and bowl hot and soft spicy mush. According to Secret Sauce, in 1994, Wendy's founder Dave Thomas contributed his recipe for old-fashioned chili to Colorado Cooks for Education, a charity cookbook sold to raise funds for Colorado schools. From the brain of Thomas himself, the key ingredients in Wendy's chili are ground beef, tomato juice, tomato puree, red kidney beans, small red beans, onion, celery, chili powder, cumin, garlic powder, salt, pepper, oregano, cayenne, and sugar. Countless diners swear by fast food value menus, which allow them to feed themselves and their families for just a couple of bucks a pop. As an added bonus, diners can build a meal from a wide array of cheaply priced small to medium entrees, sides, beverages, and treats. Burger King debuted its value menu in 1998, and McDonald's launched its first dollar menu in 2002, both almost a decade after Wendy's originated the concept. During a fast food price war, in which Burger King and McDonald's deeply cut the price of the Whopper and Big Mac respectively to 99 cents, Wendy's took a different approach by creating a whole menu with 99-cent items. And so, in 1989, Wendy's launched the Super Value Menu. The new menu promised the attractive idea of several popular Wendy's items that each cost $1 minus a penny. Among the first most attention-getting sides, Wendy's flagship Frosty and chili. A 2007 commercial for Wendy's chili featured the Violent Femmes' Blister in the Sun, probably the best-known song of the Milwaukee indie rock trio. It appeared on the group's self-titled 1983 debut album and has popped up in many movies and TV shows. Composed by Femmes frontman Gordon Gano, Blister in the Sun is an early college rock classic, and it's also a song about teenage sexual frustration, which are only two of the reasons why it's surprising that it ever appeared in a Wendy's chili ad. On Milwaukee columnist Andy Tarnoff discussed his bafflement, and Femmes bassist Brian Ritchie wrote in to explain the situation. Ritchie wrote, "Gordon Gano is the publisher of the song and Warner's is the record company. When they agreed to use it, there's nothing the rest of the band can do about it." Ritchie also had this to add, "When you see dubious, or in this case disgusting, uses of our music, you can thank the greed, insensitivity, and poor taste of Gordon Gano. It is his karma that he lost his songwriting ability many years ago, probably due to his own lack of self-respect." According to Billboard, Ritchie sued Gano, seeking proper recognition as co-writer of several Violent Femmes songs, while also calling out his bandmate for sullying the group's good name by allowing its music to be used in ads.
When it comes to what not to order at Wendy's, the trouble doesn't just come from high calorie counts. We found the worst offenders on the Wendy's menu, from sketchy food preparation practices to gross revelations about the cleanliness of equipment. Wendy's employees have a lot to say about the changed chili, in particular the method in which it's made. In Reddit threads asking employees what not to order from fast food joints, Wendy's chili dominates the conversation. Here's a fairly typical example. It's made from dried up leftover hamburger meat. It sits in bags of its own grease in the freezer for God knows how long until it's pulled out and boiled. Then it's mixed with giant cans of beans and tomatoes that smell like vomit and boiled again for hours. Whatever wasn't used at the end of the night was poured back into vats and stored in the walk-in until it would be reheated in the morning. Another Redditor added, Wendy's chili is made with the old leftover unserved burger meat. After it's sat in the plastic bins under a heater, sometimes for hours, all day, it's chopped up and soaked in water, then packaged up in large plastic bags and stored in the freezer till used. Whether or not you're on board with the practice of using burger rejects in chili, one thing's for sure. If you're lactose intolerant or have a milk allergy, Wendy's chili is not the dish for you.
Yes, I'm lactose intolerant.
Really?
I have no patience for lactose. And I won't stand for it.
According to one Wendy's employee, a new procedure was just implemented to put a slice of cheese on the patty immediately after it comes off the grill. We are told to scrape as much cheese off as possible and to still use it as chili meat. If you're lactose intolerant or have a dairy allergy, please do not order the chili now. It turns out this isn't just one location doing some sketchy cheese scraping. Sure enough, if you check the allergens for Wendy's chili, you'll find milk listed. The company officially explained the change in its cooking procedure, saying, Wendy's hamburgers have always served as the meat base for chili. For quite some time, Wendy's has included a may contain milk statement on its allergen information related to chili because hamburgers are cooked on the same grill as and may come in contact with ingredients containing milk, such as cheese. The recent changes to cooking procedures for hamburgers introduces meat with some cheese directly into the chili. No other fast food chain offers baked potatoes like Wendy's does. Sure, it's easy enough to make one at home, it just takes a long time. And that's precisely the appeal of the Wendy's baked potato. You don't have to do it yourself. Plus, the chain promises that they cook them from a raw state in an oven wrapped in foil, baked for an hour, just like you would at home. But one former employee warns that they're not always freshly oven-baked, saying, if you come in during, at the end of, a lunch or dinner rush and you order a baked potato, there's a decent chance you're getting a microwaved potato. If the turnover isn't high, the freshness could still be questionable. As a former Wendy's manager explained, if you order a baked potato and see that it is a translucent brown color, don't eat it. Hell, after a certain time frame, don't order them at all. They take over an hour to bake, and then they are supposed to sit in a heat drawer for only one more hour. I used to find potatoes that were absolutely squishy from sitting in the bin all day. Another former employee says the potatoes in their store were, quote, stored on the ground and mopped around every day. You won't find the fish sandwich on the Wendy's menu year-round, but it does pop up seasonally. If you take from some in-the-know Redditors, avoid it next time it's on the menu, unless you like your fish aged. One employee dished, I work at Wendy's, and I will say that the worst thing to get is the fish. When I started a month ago, they brought out a new bag of fish, and the same bag is still there. Another former employee agreed, saying, as for a specific thing at Wendy's I wouldn't order is the fish. It's just common enough to keep around, but as for how often we would get a new shipment, let's just say some of those fishes could have been old enough to have a birthday. If you're thinking of ordering a salad to try for a healthier option, be warned, it might be gross. One Wendy's insider warned diners from ordering salads too early in the day, saying, don't order salads from Wendy's until at least 12:30. The first salads are yesterday's salads that have been flipped upside down and a layer of lettuce taken off the bottom. Another former employee explained that the chain's seasonal salads with berries can be a roll of the dice, saying, strawberries for some reason are the easiest to get moldy even when sitting in the walk-in fridge. The kicker is, employees will ask managers to throw them out, but the manager will just tell you to pick the ones without mold in them and wash it a bit. When I worked there, I literally had to sneak those moldy batches into the trash can. According to one Redditor, the cheese sauce topping on your Baconator fries might be a lot less cheesy than you'd hoped for, thanks to shady food prep practices. They warned, watch out for the liquid cheese. Some managers will make the crew pour boiling water from the coffee maker into it when it's almost out to make more. Others cautioned that it is usually lumpy or has a nasty skin over the top. And honestly, if there's one thing cheese sauce is supposed to be, it's smooth. That's not asking too much, is it? How in the world could bacon possibly be on any what not to order list? Even if Wendy's bacon isn't exactly the thickest, meatiest bacon we've ever seen, it deserves our love and affection, doesn't it? Not if it's old or burnt. One Redditor advised, avoid getting anything with bacon at Wendy's. Usually the bacon is a couple days old, if not a week, and it's just stored in open trays in a fridge. It's pretty nasty sometimes. Another specified that it's the Baconator fries you should avoid because, quote, they use the bacon that got too burnt to use on burgers. And don't forget, Baconator fries also come topped with cheese sauce, which might be watered down, lumpy, or both. Regardless of whether or not Wendy's fries take top honors among crispy fast food spuds, French fries are still an essential part of any fast food meal, and you'd be remiss not to order them with your Baconator. Or would you? For years, life hackers have suggested ordering unsalted fries to make sure they're fresh, but one Redditor says that at Wendy's, quote, unsalted fries were just old fries thrown back in the fryer for 30 seconds to get the salt off. Another Redditor suggests flat out asking for fresh fries is also pointless, saying, my fiance used to work at Wendy's and would tell me about how it was super common practice when people asked for fresh fries to just take the fries already in the warmer and put them in the fryer again just long enough to heat them back up. In a perfect world, there would be two things on the Wendy's menu that employees across the country would agree is on the do-order list: the Frosty and the French fries. Because really, is there any better fast food treat than salty fries dipped in a chocolate Frosty? Unfortunately, if what these Redditors say is true, it's best to avoid your former favorite frozen treat. One Redditor advises, never order Frosties at Wendy's. Most employees don't care to properly clean out the Frosty machine correctly. The leftover Frosty is poured into buckets and left in the fridge overnight. Sometimes they're even too lazy to wrap the top of the bucket, leaving it wide open for anything to get in. We pour the leftover Frosty from the buckets back in the machine at open. Another person claiming to be a former worker confirmed that the Frosty machine is rarely cleaned. We get it. You're trying to be environmentally conscious by not requesting those condiment packets that are no doubt clogging up landfills. But unless you've actually lifted the lid of the ketchup dispenser in the dining room to verify its cleanliness, you might want to think twice about pumping from it. That's according to this former employee who said, worked at Wendy's when in high school. I was filling up the ketchup pumps. The ketchup comes in gallon or so plastic bags, and you just take the lid off the pump and squeeze this whole gallon of ketchup in there. The store manager walks by and goes, here's a tip whenever you eat out. Never get ketchup from this pump. They don't get cleaned. So yeah, the inside of the ketchup pump may look like a reverse ketchup volcano. Old petrified ketchup on the outside borders of the bin, and probably inside the pump nozzle, with slightly less gross, hard layers a little further in, and eventually mushy and red enough to make it through the pump into your little Porto ketchup container.
Anybody got any extra ketchup packets?
What could possibly be wrong with Wendy's nuggets? Bet you never would have thought that melted plastic might be part of the chain's secret recipe. But it turns out that depending on which location you hit, it just might be. One Redditor dished on his ex-wife's shady, though expedient, nugget-making practice, saying when they were about to fry a new batch of chicken nuggets, the other employees would just dip the bottom of the plastic bag into the fryer so that it would melt and the nuggets would fall out. They were too f***ing lazy to open the bag properly. Another former worker confessed that the nuggets they were serving, like the fries, might not have been as fresh as you'd expect, saying, ex-Wendy's employee here, those chicken nuggets are usually old as hell, and the warm-up for new orders is to throw them in the fryer for a sec so they look fresh. One employee blew the lid off Wendy's corporate policy when it came to manning the grill, and not only might this information make you hesitant to order burgers and grilled chicken sandwiches, but oddly, cookies too. The worker explained in a Reddit AMA, well, in company training, the person on grill, someone on grill makes burgers, all chicken, chili, bacon, cookies, etc., are not allowed to wear gloves when handling meat of any kind. Yes, not allowed. While all employees are required to wash their hands, duh, I personally would prefer if they wore gloves. However, it is company policy. While it's obviously nice to hear that hand washing is required, can we be certain that employees are scrubbing up at all, let alone doing so properly? Gloves would really go a long way in making us all feel better about the food we're eating.
Use gloves! Use gloves!
According to the Wendy's website, their lemonade is all natural with, quote, no artificial ingredients or preservatives. According to some self-described ex-employees, though, employees aren't exactly squeezing lemons in the back to whip up a fresh-from-the-tree beverage. So if that's what you're expecting, you might be a tad disappointed. Said one worker on Reddit, the fresh lemonade comes from a carton and mixed with tap water. Another echoed the same sentiment, saying, honestly, the fresh handmade lemonade is a lie. That stuff is frozen concentrate. Honestly, just go ahead and order the Minute Maid lemonade from the soda fountain. It's cheaper. But maybe hold off before you head to the fountain. One Redditor warned against using the soda machines too, saying soda fountain nozzles were just put in a bucket of water for a few minutes. Never saw them scrubbed. Maybe bringing in your own bottled water is the best option.
The simple yet delicious baked potato is such a staple of Wendy's menu. It's impossible to imagine the fast food favorite not serving them. But have you ever wondered why they started in the first place? And why no other fast food joint has picked up on the popularity of this hearty and healthy menu item?
What is this?
First, let's talk about why they make them. According to Lori Estrada, Wendy's Vice President of Culinary Innovation, Wendy's baked potato was basically developed as a healthy menu option. During the 80s, health-conscious individuals were changing the way they ate after seeing 8 U.S. senators die of heart disease-related causes while in office over the course of 2 decades. And as Senate historian Don Ritchie said, when you have colleagues who die prematurely, that's sort of a wake-up call. South Dakota Senator George McGovern called for a hearing on the links between what we eat and our overall health. And testimony from longevity guru Nathan Pritikin fueled the establishment of dietary guidelines for concerned Americans. First and foremost, citizens were now being told that they needed to get fat out of their diet. Instead, the thinking went, an ideal diet should be high in carbs. That was supposed to be things like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. And that brings us back to Wendy's iconic tater.
What we need's a few good taters. What's taters, precious? What's taters, huh? Potatoes.
Wendy's wanted to come up with a fat-free alternative for people looking to get healthier, because when the naturally fat-free potato was turned into fries, they lost their health food aura. However, baked potatoes are pretty healthy. Wendy's basic baked potato is only 270 calories, with the other more toppings-heavy options clocking in at about 310 and 460 calories. That's not bad, though it doesn't take into account whatever weird toppings you're going to add on your own.
I'm gonna dip this potato in some crushed Vicodin.
Wendy's debuted their baked potatoes in 1983, and today they sell an average of 1 million a week. That's a shocking amount of spuds. If they're so popular, you have to wonder, why haven't more fast food restaurants hopped on the bandwagon? Arby's is the only one to come close to catching on, offering a baked potato in their Canadian restaurants, and a handful of American locations. Lori Estrada describes putting baked potatoes on the menu as a logistical nightmare for any restaurant, especially considering they do it the hard way, wrapped in foil and baked in the oven for an hour. When Wendy's introduced them, they had to outfit every single store with new convection ovens, which isn't cheap. Even now, Estrada says, it's a challenge operationally to be able to serve them and have them ready for every customer who comes through our doors.
Could I just have a Frosty and a baked potato, please?
You have to come to the restaurant to order food.
Well, I'll send somebody to pick it up. Just have it ready.
It's ready now.
And the different types of baked potatoes on the menu aren't actually the only ones you can get. Anything Wendy's normally put on burgers or fries can also be added to your baked potato, and they'll do it. That even includes special limited-time sauces typically found on their limited-time burgers. Ironically, and sadly, we now know the low-fat diet of the 1980s and 90s didn't work. When fat became the enemy and carbs became America's go-to food, the average person was suddenly adding something else to their diets: refined carbohydrates and added sugar. We learned how to eat differently, but now that's been linked to today's rising problems of obesity and diabetes. Fortunately, Wendy's baked potato is still high on the list of healthy-ish options when it comes to grabbing some fast food for lunch. Estrada told Thrillist, "These baked potatoes are full of fiber, low in fat, have a great mineral content. They can still be a healthy vehicle for toppings, as they always were. They're delicious too, so this is one choice you can make that's fairly guilt-free, and that's something we can all appreciate."
No kids' meals, Tiffany lamps, and occasional one-on-ones with the owner? Wendy's may be a pretty conventional burger joint now, but that definitely wasn't the case when it first opened. Everyone knows burgers are round, with the notable exception of Wendy's old-fashioned hamburgers, that is. And of course, with a notable hat tip to White Castle. The fast food chain's burger style is ingrained in the brains of modern consumers, with its 4 corners spilling over the bun's round edges. But back when Dave Thomas first sold his square-shaped beef patties to the public, the design was unique enough to grab new customers' attention.
We don't cut corners in anything we do about food on our menu.
Of course, it wasn't just the shape of its burgers that led folks to patronize the first Wendy's. But Thomas's choice did allow the restaurant to stand out from the quick service crowd. Additionally, CNN says that the choice to prepare square burgers ensured its customers knew the burgers were handmade from fresh beef. After all, conventional wisdom would suggest the burgers couldn't be pre-processed or previously frozen if they weren't round. The aesthetic choice wasn't just about leaving a visual impression, though, or to demonstrate the restaurant would never cut corners with its food. As Wendy's Vice President of Culinary Innovation, John Lee, told CNN in 2022, square burgers are a practical thing too, as they allow for a more efficient use of grill space. Fast food burger restaurants weren't nearly as ubiquitous in 1969 as they are in the 2020s. But the marketplace was still fairly crowded when Dave Thomas threw his hat into the ring with Wendy's. Having essentially devised Wendy's as the antithesis of what people had come to expect from fast food establishments, Thomas furnished the restaurant with higher-end decor, hoping to reflect the higher quality experience Wendy's would offer. Diners at the first Wendy's were undoubtedly treated to a quick-service burger joint unlike any other. In a marked contrast from the plastic-molded booths and easy-to-sanitize surfaces found at similar restaurants, Wendy's was carpeted and featured Tiffany lamps, hanging beads, and bent wood chairs for customers to sit on. Additionally, employees wore all white aprons. It might seem like a small thing, but as Thomas wrote in his autobiography, Dave's Way, it was a way to present an image of cleanliness and tradition that each customer could feel a part of. And Wendy's has continued to embrace a unique Wendy's-only look. There's no one right way for a person to run a business. Frankly, if you were to ask 100 different people what a successful business owner looks like, there's a good chance you'd receive 100 different answers. By all accounts, the hands-on Dave Thomas was very, very hands-on, and that meant if you ate at his first Wendy's location, there was a good chance you'd have seen him inside. Ever since he first started working at the age of 12, Thomas possessed a powerful work ethic. According to the company, his grandmother Minnie had taught him the value of hard work, so he was unfazed by the grueling effort required by the food service industry. Additionally, having already revived 4 KFC restaurants in Ohio before opening Wendy's, he was more than familiar with the difficulties of running a successful restaurant. Honestly, this may be the least surprising revelation to modern diners regarding the first Wendy's. After all, since Thomas only owned one restaurant when he first opened Wendy's, where else would the man have been? The plethora of available options on modern fast food menus is enough to make your head spin. Of course, the often overwhelming assortment of choices wouldn't have been an issue for anyone eating at the first Wendy's, which had a very simple menu when it opened. In fact, the first Wendy's menu consisted solely of burgers, fries, chili, soda, and Frosty frozen dairy desserts. If you're wondering why the original menu lacked some of your modern-day favorites, like the Baconator or spicy chicken sandwich, it isn't exactly some deep mystery, considering that around 60% of restaurants fail within the first year of opening. According to CNBC, Thomas likely believed that serving a few extremely well-made items, rather than a surplus of mediocre ones, would decrease the odds of early closure.
Yes, sir! Y'all can't take this one away from me!
And since he was firmly committed to the use of fresh, higher quality, but more expensive ingredients, fewer menu items meant less food to buy up front, therefore lowering those business expenses and freeing money to spend in other areas. It's sort of startling to even consider a world without drive-through dining, particularly after the emergence of COVID-19 amplified the general public's desire to decrease time spent around strangers. But any introverts looking to patronize the first Wendy's without leaving their cars would have been out of luck, as the original restaurant didn't have a drive-through window when it first opened in 1969. While the first restaurant opened by Dave Thomas didn't have a drive-through or pickup window, as the company described it, there was good news on the horizon for any customers seeking one out. When Thomas expanded his business and opened the first freestanding location in 1970, that restaurant was able to incorporate a pickup window to boost business, and it never looked back. There's hardly a universal consensus when it comes to what makes a delicious burger. That's to be expected, of course, given the monumental variation in each individual's tastes, as well as the varying flavor preferences found in different cultures or regions. Yet the use of fresh ingredients of impeccable quality can elevate any burger into a succulent, savory celebration of beef. Dave Thomas recognized this, but didn't feel any restaurants in Columbus, Ohio met his high personal bar for a truly delicious burger during the 1960s. So, biography says that he opened Wendy's to fill that void. Thomas was a man relentlessly driven to give the world what he craved, and he wasn't the only one who felt the burger market was less than enticing before the first Wendy's entered the fray. In fact, when a friend of his mentioned the downtown Columbus area was lacking in worthwhile lunch spots, it inspired Thomas to sell the best burger possible. As exhausted parents around the US are painfully aware, fast food advertisements aimed at children are impossible to avoid. From playful, kid-friendly mascots to kids' meals with toys included, it's clear that fast food companies often shape marketing campaigns around what kids want.
I just need a break sometimes, like I'm completely overwhelmed. Did you ever feel like that?
Wendy's may be no different than its competitors in the 21st century, but when Dave Thomas opened the first Wendy's in 1969, CNN reports that he was more interested in courting young adults with money to spare than appealing to kids eager for a treat. Since Wendy's was more expensive than any other burger restaurant at the time, it couldn't rely solely on cash-strapped parents looking for a cheap, quick meal for their children. But it wasn't necessarily interested in specifically courting those customers either. Fresher, better ingredients meant an inevitably higher price point, and Thomas believed he could appeal to adults who were both willing and able to pay more to eat his superior product. Children weren't persona non grata at the first Wendy's by any means, but compared to McDonald's or Burger King, or even Wendy's in 2022, the original Wendy's clientele was more likely to consist of young, well-groomed professionals rather than sticky-fingered kids running rampant. When a company describes a product as old-fashioned, it's not necessarily meant to convey its product as authentically old school. The phrase is designed to evoke a feeling of nostalgia within potential customers, stirring a desire for the past in consumers that will then translate into sales. This seems to be the precise thought process for Dave Thomas when he founded Wendy's, which was called Wendy's Old-Fashioned Hamburgers when it first opened. Actually, when you consider the evolution of food preservation, the idea that the first Wendy's did in fact serve old-fashioned burgers has a ring of truth. After all, the widespread use and sale of frozen foods didn't truly blossom until the 1940s and 50s. In other words, just like those served in his restaurant in 1969, the burgers Dave Thomas consumed as a child in the 1930s were never frozen either, so the old-fashioned tagline may have been more accurate than we initially assumed. To be honest, when it comes to the definition of a Frosty, we're not exactly sure what to call it. But whether it's straight-up ice cream or a milkshake or some combination of the two, there's no doubting that the Frosty is one of Dave Thomas's more iconic creations. Luckily for customers at the first Wendy's, the Frosty was available from day one. According to Wendy's, the famed Frosty was the brainchild of Fred Kappas, the owner of a local food service equipment distributor. Thomas contacted Kappas before launching the first Wendy's, hoping the purveyor of ice cream machines would have an idea for a sweet frozen treat to sell. Using the not-so-secret concept of mixing a little bit of vanilla ice cream with chocolate to increase the maltiness, the Frosty was soon born. Unsurprisingly, the locally produced soft-serve adjacent Frosty was a hit with customers. More than 50 years later, it's still a fan favorite. Though who would have ever thought it would become one of the best dipping condiments for fries?
6 Frosties.
Six Frosties. Chocolate.
All right, now what's everyone else drinking?
Since its inception, Wendy's has never been interested in simply doing what's expected and has thrived by operating as a square peg in a round hole. While most fast food burger chains are satisfied with fries, for instance, the Wendy's menu offers wholly unique choices like baked potatoes and chili. Customers eating at the very first Wendy's couldn't enjoy a baked potato, unfortunately, but they could grab themselves a cup of hot, fresh chili. As founder Dave Thomas noted in his autobiography, Dave's Way, the concept of serving chili was obvious, as it allowed him to recycle the leftover hamburger without wasting it. While the decision was clear, the specific recipe was harder to pin down, according to Thomas. Not that creating a palatable chili was out of reach for a man who would come to create some of the most iconic food products the world has ever seen. It's easy to imagine that customers eating Wendy's chili at the first restaurant weren't sure what to expect. After all, a fast food burger restaurant with chili as a staple menu item is somewhat rare. But like everything else Dave Thomas ever cooked and served, any concerns about Wendy's chili were quickly forgotten after consuming it. Is it possible that anyone who's lived in the US over the past half-century is unaware that Wendy's beef is always fresh and never frozen? We'd guess not. But unlike consumers who've experienced 50-plus years of Wendy's as an American institution, diners at the very first Wendy's weren't yet accustomed to the chain's preferred practices. Since Wendy's has served fresh beef since day one, though, that meant customers at the first location could enjoy made-to-order burgers that weren't previously frozen or prepared.
Hey, where's the beef? I don't think there's anybody back there.
According to Wendy's, Thomas believed a burger made with entirely fresh ingredients led to a product worthy of the old-fashioned moniker. Considering the mind-boggling growth and expansion of Wendy's after the first location opened in 1969, with more than 1,000 restaurants before the end of the 1970s, it seems like customers agreed with Thomas's assessment too. The use of fresh, never-frozen beef has become a cornerstone of the Wendy's brand. After all, the company's ability to consistently deliver fresh, square beef is what consumers love and expect, as Vice President of Culinary Innovation John Lee told CNN in 2022. And that, it's obviously a winning formula.
Who could forget where they were when they first learned of the Wendy's Baconator? Perhaps one of the most iconic fast food burgers ever, the Baconator helped put Wendy's back on the map. Let's dive into the untold truth of this bacon cheeseburger legend. The Baconator launched in 2007 as part of an effort to revive Wendy's following the 2002 death of its founder, Dave Thomas. Back then, the number 3 burger chain was hurting, and offers were on the table from rival companies. The franchise had suffered from lower sales for a few years after Thomas passed, and those who are old enough to remember might be able to understand why. His appearances in Wendy's commercials were always heartwarming and fun to watch. The company couldn't seem to match the marketing magic that was Dave Thomas until the brilliant and aptly named Baconator came around. Dave Thomas left a lasting legacy, of course. Former Wendy's head honcho Carrie Anderson told the New York Times in 2007, "The legacy of Dave Thomas creates a powerful foundation for Wendy's and allows my job to be easier." With that said, imagine how successful a Baconator ad would have been with Dave Thomas's endorsement. In 2007, when then Wendy's CEO Carrie Anderson helped roll out the Baconator, she openly admitted that the meat lover mega sandwich was definitely designed to appeal to a particular demographic, 18 to 34-year-old males, which at the time were the most common fast food consumers.
This salad is really good. You want a bite?
No, thank you. I'm a vegetarian.
The Baconator vision came while Wendy's was trying to reinvigorate both its menu and its marketing. The efforts paid off, and the sandwich definitely boosted the brand's status. The following year, Anderson reported that Wendy's was developing a Go-Wrap chicken sandwich for its snack and value menu, but this time in an effort to appeal to women. While this might seem like gender stereotyping in today's world, the numbers regarding men and fast food at the time apparently don't lie. Those wraps didn't stand the test of time, yet all these years later, the Baconator is still holding strong. So, do we have young cheeseburger-loving bros to thank for the Baconator? Yes, it seems like we do. To say the Baconator took the fast food world by storm when it first launched would be a bit of an understatement. This bacon cheeseburger arrived in a full-on blaze of glory. Within 2 months, the company sold 25 million sandwiches to hungry meat eaters. In the summer of 2007, a few months after Baconator Mania took hold, then CEO Carrie Anderson told Business Wire, "This is one of the most successful new product introductions we've had in some time."
May I get you all a Baconator?
Yes. Commercials from the fall of 2007 really highlighted the popularity of the Baconator. The biggest selling points were, well, the bacon and the long-standing Wendy's promise of fresh, never-frozen beef. It furthered this message with famous ads like the Kicking Trees commercial, which was the most-watched TV advertisement of June 2007. In a way, it cross-promoted the Baconator by reiterating that anything involving beef from Wendy's was going to be fresh and tasty. The massive success of the Baconator in its early launch was no doubt a part of Wendy's revival both in sales and advertising. Look, not everyone can be the Baconator. We're looking at you, spicy Baconator. May you rest in peace. In March of 2008, Wendy's tried to top its Baconator success story with another Baconator success story. The chain extended its brand with a spicier version of the cheeseburger. Long story short, it's not on the menu today. While the commercials were cute, for some reason, Americans just didn't take to the spicy version of this bacon on beef classic. NYC Food Guy, a New York-based food critic, certainly didn't give the burger a glowing review. He wrote, The jalapenos and chipotle ranch sauce soggied up the top bun while overpowering the entire burger with slightly spicy acidity. Needless to say, it didn't get the same warm welcome as the Baconator. Wendy's does serve a few variations of the bacon jalapeno cheeseburger, though. In 2012, Wendy's tried to appeal to customers who really wanted a Baconator but couldn't bring themselves to justify consuming a half pound of beef with 6 strips of bacon in one sitting. For those who wanted a little less pork and beef, the company launched a baby Baconator, dubbed the Son of Baconator. Cute, isn't it? The mini version of the Baconator made you feel a little less guilty. Instead of 2 quarter-pounders and 6 slices of bacon, this sandwich served up 2 patties that weighed 2.25 ounces each, with 4 slices of bacon. The Son of Baconator is alive and well, still on the menu today. But it only has 4 ounces of beef, as opposed to 4.5 total ounces. It also has 670 calories, while its dad, the original Baconator, has 960. According to popular food blogger LA Foodie, Wendy's Baconator fries were the result of a culinary collaboration brought forth by a mutual love of bacon. The blogger reportedly received an invitation in August of 2015 to hang out with Top Chef star Spike Mendelsohn at a Southern California Wendy's location. Both food lovers got behind the grill at this new Wendy's outpost and decided to enhance several menu items with, you guessed it, more bacon. Mendelsohn supposedly upgraded the Baconator by whipping up a chili cheese version of the sandwich after he had already added some bacon to the chili. They then doused some fries with cheese and bacon and called it a day forever known as the one where Baconator fries proudly entered the world. The fries were supposedly a limited time only item when they were first introduced back in 2015, yet they're still on the Wendy's menu, ready for consumption. When Burger King started selling the Bacon King in 2016, it felt like shade had officially been thrown at Wendy's. This cheeseburger was eerily similar. Half a pound of beef topped with lots of bacon, cheese, ketchup, and mayo. Cron writer Ken Hoffman compared the two and found that the only differences he could detect were a few more cheese slices on the Bacon King and the presence of sesame seeds on its bun. The Bacon King is still on Burger King's menu, but it's safe to say it comes nowhere near the Baconator's status as fast food bacon cheeseburger royalty, despite the obvious similarities. The Baconator is a versatile sandwich. It's great for satiating any intense bacon cravings you might have, filling up your stomach on a long road trip, and, stashing your weed when the cops come rolling through to search your car. Actually, scratch that last part. It turns out stuffing drugs in a burger isn't effective for avoiding a citation for drug possession. In 2016, police in Milton, West Virginia got a call about a shady car milling about in a Wendy's parking lot. The car contained 4 individuals and some Wendy's grub. The K-9 units allegedly snuffed out some marijuana, which police reported was, quote, hiding in a Baconator. The suspect in question tried to claim that a Wendy's employee must have placed the pot in the sandwich, but as the Milton Police Department put it on their Facebook account, Wendys.com shows that marijuana is not a standard ingredient for a Baconator. One would initially assume that there can't possibly be anything unhealthier than a Baconator. With its half pound of beef topped with 6 slices of bacon and American cheese, plus mayo and ketchup, all held together by a white flour, quote, premium bun. However, there are actually at least 7 contenders that beat out the Baconator for the title of unhealthiest bacon cheeseburger. According to Eat This, Not That, a brand dedicated to healthier eating, of those 7 really unhealthy fast food burgers that top the Baconator in calorie and fat content, the biggest offender is the Triple Meat Whataburger from Whataburger. It weighs in at 1,885 calories, 84 grams of fat, and 2,080 milligrams of sodium, while the Baconator, by comparison, has only 960 calories, 66 grams of fat, and 1,540 milligrams of sodium. Wendy's has a troubled history when it comes to breakfast. The chain initially tried to launch a morning menu in 1985, but pulled the plug after only 9 months of slinging eggs. It attempted in earnest to serve breakfast again in 2007 and then again in 2012, but still couldn't quite gain Egg McMuffin-level traction. It's now quite clear what the problem was all along. There wasn't a Baconator breakfast option. Cut to September of 2019 when Wendy's once again announced plans to give breakfast another go. In February of 2020, the morning menu offerings started cropping up again at different locations. They included a breakfast Baconator and a Frosty Chino, in perhaps another effort to capitalize on what they know already works. Wendy's president Kurt Kane described the contents of the Baconator breakfast sandwich as a fresh cracked egg, signature sausage patty, and 6 strips of applewood smoked bacon. Hey, just don't call it a comeback. Actually, in this case, you probably can. Nothing cements a menu item in the Fast Food Hall of Fame quite like an official Pringles flavor. In June of 2020, Wendy's and Pringles announced that they were partnering to make a bacon, cheese, and beef-flavored chip. Like many other establishments, Wendy's has created an app featuring incentives for using it, and one of those incentives incorporates the Pringles partnership. You can score a free Baconator, Son of Baconator, or Breakfast Baconator with any order on the app if you enter a code found under the lid of a Baconator Pringles can. You can find this flavor anywhere you normally purchase potato chips, except maybe on airplanes.
Is Wendy's lying to you to keep its prices down? Perhaps not everything on the menu is fresh, including the new hot and crispy fries. And then, of course, there's the chili. We've got all the cost-cutting secrets coming up. Lower prices incentivize consumers to buy more. Think of it this way. You won't stop at a gourmet restaurant every day if you're keeping to a strict budget. But spending a couple of bucks on a burger and fries once a day doesn't seem awful. It's a fairly affordable luxury, and you can get a lot more $2 burgers than $20 steaks. As long as the restaurant makes more than the cost of the burger, the system works. Even low profit margins translate to big profits when customers buy enough. Wendy's doesn't need you to pay $20 for a burger once a month if you buy 10 cheaper burgers over 4 weeks. It's all about the scale. To be fair, Wendy's doesn't offer a dollar menu anymore, but their value meals and menu items follow the same principle. If you can convince a lot of people to buy a lot of a cheap product, nibbles of profit turn into a full meal. The potato is a humble yet beloved vegetable. It's also about as cheap as the dirt it grows in when bought in bulk. A farm may lose a contract with a fast food company if someone else sells their potatoes for a penny or two less per pound. This contributes to why fries are ridiculously cheap to make. And we all know how popular they are. Don't you feel like you're missing out if you buy a burger and skip the fries? These golden children of the deep fryer have a huge profit margin. Fast food fries cost very little to make, and they often sell for more than some of the cheapest burgers on the menu. The Junior Cheeseburger costs 99 cents at most locations. So do the value-sized fries. A Junior Bacon Cheeseburger sells for $1.99, and a medium fry will cost the same. Beef, bacon, and cheese all cost much more than their equivalent weight in potato, and French fries take less time and effort to prepare than a burger.
We love these fries! They're really good!
Combo meals like the Biggie Bags sound cheap because they come with a lot of different items. Apart from the sandwich, though, the items are all incredibly inexpensive to make, so it's a cheap lunch for you and a payday for Wendy's. If you really want 4 small portions of 4 different foods, then Wendy's bargain combo meals are still a good investment for the experience. That said, it's important to remember how they make their money while still selling you the goods for fairly cheap. The sizes are often smaller than you realize. The 4 for $4 deal, for example, includes not small, but junior fries. They are literally smaller than small. The drink is actually small, and you get 4 whole chicken nuggets with your sandwich. Remember the golden rule of restaurants, which is that soft drinks have a huge profit margin, even when sold for less than the a la carte price. The Biggie Bag costs $1 more than the 4 for $4 deal and delivers extra meat on your sandwich along with a small fry. You may get more food, but Wendy's profits more from that extra dollar than you may realize. It's still a bargain meal, but it has major benefits for Wendy's too. The average hourly rate for a Wendy's employee is under $10 per hour, according to PayScale. While managing positions bring home bigger paychecks, you earn over $15 an hour. Plus, there are fewer managers compared to cashiers and cooks. Labor is part of business costs, and the price of labor goes into the price of your burger. These wages aren't accidental, and they're built into Wendy's operating methodology. It's such an issue that rising wages and staffing shortages have inspired the company to invest in labor-saving alternatives. Investors Business Daily says in 2016, the company announced a trial run of self-service kiosks for ordering in-store, which would free the workers to focus on preparing food instead of serving as cashiers. It could also open the door to cutting back minimum staffing requirements. Essentially, Wendy's makes cheap food through cheap labor, and that cheap labor is so important to their business model that they're paying for new technology to counteract rising labor costs. Leftovers are great. The week after a major holiday is like living reruns of a fantastic dinner. Maybe your parents even use leftovers to make other dishes. After all, leftovers are the heart and soul of the American casserole. We've all had them. And if you enjoy Wendy's chili, you may like leftovers even more than you realized. It turns out that this item has an untold truth all its own.
Great chili!
Wendy's leans into this tradition by using leftover burger meat to make their chili. This information has been confirmed by multiple former employees who volunteered to discuss their old jobs on Reddit. Burgers that don't sell are chopped and frozen so that they can be added to chili later on. So if the whole idea of meat that's fresh and never frozen is what attracts you to the restaurant, you should understand the chili is an exception to the rule. But of course, the chili is a lot cheaper than it would be if they used fresh meat. If you visit Wendy's often, you know the truth. They aren't always cheap. A premium sandwich can cost over $6 on its own, easily. The deals keep rolling through though, and no one can resist the idea of a bargain. But what happens once the sale has ended? Wendy's has great limited time deals, like their special offer for a honey butter chicken breakfast sandwich for just $1.99. At one point, they offered some breakfast sandwiches for just $1 each, and you can sometimes snag any size fry for $1 too. While no deal lasts forever, there's always another discount on the horizon.
We call it Wendy's Super Value Menu. Everything is at a special low price.
These sales don't just save you money, they help boost Wendy's revenue. First, the bargain convinces you to stop at Wendy's and make an initial purchase. If you like what you eat, you may go multiple times to take advantage of the offer. And you probably aren't going to buy a lonely $1 fry without another item to keep it company. When the deal ends, do you refuse to eat Wendy's breakfast sandwiches ever again? Doubtful. You tried it because it was cheap, and if you liked it, you'll probably splurge on it again at a later date for a higher rate. We know the beef isn't frozen before it goes on a sandwich, but Wendy's doesn't make all of its food from scratch, despite the pretty pictures of fresh ingredients in their ads. The lemonade, for instance, is not a fresh squeezed brew put together from whole fruit in each restaurant's kitchen. A TikTok user filmed the actual process, and the only potential fruit was in the puree, added for the strawberry variation. According to the video, employees add Hubert's lemonade base mix to a literal bucket of tap water, stir it up, and add flavored syrups to individual cups for additional flavor options. You may have tried a powdered lemonade mix with tap water at home. It isn't dangerous or unsanitary, but you should understand that one of the reasons Wendy's is cheaper than a local boutique restaurant that makes its lemonade from scratch is that, well, Wendy's takes the prepackaged path. Most of your soft drink is water, and the syrup and carbonation come cheap. It's a well-known fact that restaurant soda costs the customer far more than it costs the restaurant to provide, which makes a drink menu a boon for any Wendy's. You may not realize a small soda costs more than the cheapest cheeseburger either. That gives other products that cost more to make, like a burger, a little wiggle room. Because if the customer buys a drink with their cheap burger, Wendy's still wins. Even more importantly, the consistent profit margin of soft drinks supports all those bargains that Wendy's is so well known for. It's part of loss leader strategy, which draws customers away from competitors with a cheaper version of a product. In short, the value menu woos the frugal customers, and the marked-up soft drinks make the money. The in-store counter may be the smiling face of Wendy's, but its lifeblood pumps through the drive-thru. Speed and volume is the key to profit in the fast food industry, and if you've ever been stuck in a slow drive-thru, you instinctively know it isn't functioning the way it should. These lanes are for speed, and when the team inside is equipped to do their jobs well, they bring the money flying through the order window. The same principles that govern cheap burgers work here too. Drive-thrus help keep food cheap by increasing sales by volume. A lot of cheap food sold with a low profit margin can make big bucks when you sell enough of it. The same principle lowers the pressure on individual customers to shell out, because someone ahead or behind the bargain shopper will choose premium items. It's so important to their business model, they're considering drive-through only locations. The big selling point for Wendy's new hot and crispy fries is that they're a better product for the consumer. It isn't a big deal for restaurants to release food that tastes better for their customers, but there's some particular wording you should note. These fries aren't just hotter and crispier fresh out of the fryer. They're designed to stay hot and crispy for 30 minutes.
You want fries with that? You want fries with that?
Want fries with that? This is a strange brag for a company that likes to talk about how fresh all of its food is. How does this make Wendy's food cheaper? The new fries could potentially cut down how many they have to throw away. It's a strategy that aims to work around the fact that fries may not be terribly fresh. If they taste better longer, they have more time to wait.
Wendy's has some of the most popular menu items in fast food, from the Baconator to the Frosty. Though the menu has changed less than other fast food joints, incredible additions have appeared over the years. Here's what Wendy's menu looked like the year you were born. Dave Thomas opened the first Wendy's restaurant on November 15, 1969, in Columbus, Ohio. Thomas's goal was to serve fresh, hearty meals in a quick service setting. The first restaurant's menu had just 5 items: a hamburger, french fries, soft drinks, chili, and the now famous frozen dessert known as the Frosty. Impressively, all of these items have remained on the menu, without interruption, to this day. A year after Thomas founded the first Wendy's, a second location opened also in Columbus. By the late 1970s, the chain was well on its way to becoming a fast food giant, with more than 1,500 restaurants across North America. While hamburgers weren't new by the time Wendy's arrived on the scene, the restaurant's burgers were unique for the square shape of its beef patties. This was not done by accident. Thomas believed that what separated Wendy's from its competitors was the freshness and quality of its ingredients, most notably the beef used for its hamburgers. He insisted the patties be square-shaped so that customers could see the high-quality beef sticking out from the rounded bun. The square shape is also symbolic of Wendy's commitment to not cut corners when it comes to using fresh ingredients.
Where's the beef?
Wendy's commitment to fresh ingredients went beyond the beef it used in burger patties. The restaurant was also well known for the fresh lettuce and tomatoes it put atop its burgers. It was a natural transition to begin serving fresh greens as a standalone meal in 1979. That's when Wendy's became the first fast food restaurant to have a salad bar. The salad bar went against the fast food model, in which restaurants try to get customers in and out as quickly as possible. Instead, this encouraged patrons to take their time serving themselves and dining. Nevertheless, it proved to be a hit with customers. The salad bar remained a popular restaurant feature in Wendy's franchises throughout the 1980s. During the 1980s, consumers' tastes began to move towards more healthy foods. Wendy's responded with the baked potato, a somewhat healthier tater option, at least compared to French fries, which were both higher in calories and fried in fatty oil. The baked potato represents nearly twice as much food by weight as any order of Wendy's French fries, though both come out at roughly the same number of calories. Baked potatoes did come at a cost for Wendy's, however. It created logistical hurdles for restaurant operators, so much so that the chain needed to add new convection ovens to each of its franchises to cook them. But it's apparently been worth it, as Wendy's sells more than 1 million baked potatoes every week. The salad bar proved to be so successful that in 1988, Wendy's upped the ante with its new creation, the Super Bar. In addition to the usual salad and fruit station, known as the Garden Spot, the Super Bar also offered Mexican and Italian stations, named Mexican Fiesta and Pasta Pasta. This expansion of the salad bar was extremely popular with customers, most likely because of its low price. In fact, its popularity may have actually led to its demise. Keeping a functioning buffet fully stocked and cleaned while also maintaining over-the-counter services was a tall task for many franchisees and employees. Still, the Super Bar managed to last about a decade before it disappeared from Wendy's menu. Nowadays, ultra-affordable prices are so ubiquitous that it's difficult to imagine a fast food chain not having a dedicated selection of items priced around $1. But it wasn't McDonald's or Burger King that came up with the idea, even though they had been around for decades prior. Wendy's was the first to take the plunge when it unveiled its value meal in 1989. When it was first introduced in October 1989, the Super Value menu consisted of 9 different items. The offerings rotated amongst a variety of offerings, but you could usually find Wendy's classics like baked potatoes, potatoes to Frosties on the menu at any given time. The fact that value meals are still a prominent part of fast food restaurant menus today proves that Wendy's was on to a good idea, though it took time for Wendy's competitors to catch on. Burger King rolled out its value menu in 1998, while McDonald's dragged its feet until its dollar menu debuted in 2002. In an attempt to further expand its healthier meal options, the chain debuted a grilled chicken sandwich in the summer of 1990. Although the restaurant already offered other chicken items such as chicken nuggets, the non-breaded, non-fried sandwich presented a new option for increasingly health-conscious consumers. The other notable change in Wendy's food that year was also health-related. Wendy's, along with McDonald's and Burger King, announced that it would change the type of oil used to make its French fries. Instead of frying its potatoes in fatty beef tallow and vegetable oil blends, the restaurant would use 100% corn oil going forward. Wendy's was already using vegetable oil to fry its chicken and fish, but finding oil that could cook French fries and deliver a comparable taste took time. While Wendy's salad bar had been popular for much of the previous 2 decades, fewer people were looking at fast food eateries as dine-in restaurants. By the 1990s, the percentage of dual-income households in the United States was reaching an all-time high at roughly 60%. With both parents working, convenience became a priority when it came to food. The drive-thru window surged in popularity as a result. To make salads more accessible to its customers, Wendy's introduced its new line of fresh salads to go in 1992. The first 4 salad offerings were grilled chicken, Taco Caesar, Deluxe Garden, and side salads. At the same time, Wendy's was eliminating its salad bars across the country. The Super Bar was discontinued in 1998, and all salad bars were gone from restaurants by 2006. In 1995, just a few years after the debut of the grilled chicken sandwich, the restaurant unveiled its new spicy chicken sandwich, which became a permanent menu item the following year.
Wendy's spicy chicken. Yeah, it's different. Because Dave's different. He's a rebel. They zig, he zag.
According to Wendy's, the sandwich's signature spice flavor is derived from a blend of black pepper, chili pepper, and mustard seed. Topped with lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise between a toasted bun, the delectable meal was an immediate hit. The spicy chicken sandwich has remained a staple of the Wendy's menu to this day. While the restaurant has unveiled a number of other chicken sandwiches over the years, it's the spicy version that has long been a bestseller for the restaurant chain. Trying to diversify its non-beef menu, Wendy's rolled out a new line of chicken and vegetarian sandwiches in the late 1990s. The popularity of wraps was booming during this time, so Wendy's developed its own take on the trend with fresh stuffed pitas in 1997. The 4-item line consisted of chicken Caesar, ranch chicken, classic Greek, and garden veggie pitas. All 4 were made to order and wrapped in heated flatbread. The product helped Wendy's attract new customers who normally wouldn't turn to fast food to satisfy their cravings, particularly women who had traditionally opted for low-fat vegetarian options. By November of 1997, Wendy's claimed that pita sales had met or exceeded its own expectations. Nevertheless, the pitas did not make a lasting impression with Wendy's decision-makers. The restaurant chose to remove the fresh stuffed pita line, and the sandwiches haven't been seen since. While Wendy's was a pioneer in many aspects of the fast food world, they were rather late to the game when it came to kids' meals. The restaurant didn't begin offering children's menu options until relatively recently. For comparison, McDonald's had already debuted its famous Happy Meal way back in the 1970s. In the early 2000s, Wendy's added reduced-fat white milk and low-fat chocolate milk to its menu as alternatives to soft drinks. In addition, fresh fruit cups with honeydew melon and cantaloupe chunks were available in lieu of a side of French fries. Although it wasn't the first restaurant with children-specific menu items, Wendy's did break ground in one area related to kids' meals. It was the first fast food restaurant to offer milk in plastic grab-and-go packaging. Just 1 year after unveiling its kids' meal in 2003, Wendy's rolled out new options for its combo meals. The new Wendy's Combo Meal Choices menu allowed customers to order a small chili, baked potato, or one of 2 side salads in their combo meal for no extra charge. Previously, combo meals only came with French fries as a side. At the time, the Wendy's menu had 8 combo meals featuring hamburgers, chicken sandwiches, and home-style chicken strips. The new side dish choices created 40 different ways to mix and match a combo meal. Wendy's said this new approach would change the way people think about combo meals. Wendy's delicious fan favorite Frosty, a cross between a milkshake and soft-serve ice cream, is one of the most iconic fast food items ever. Founder Dave Thomas wanted a dessert so thick customers had to eat it with a spoon. Needless to say, he succeeded. The Frosty has been on the menu since day one, dating all the way back to the opening of the first Wendy's restaurant in 1969. But for the first 36 years of its existence, this frozen treat came in just one flavor: chocolate. That all changed in 2006 when Wendy's finally added a vanilla flavor to its Frosty lineup. A vanilla Frosty wasn't the only gift Wendy's gave us that year. The chain also rolled out a brand new line of Frescatas sandwiches. The menu edition was available in 4 varieties: Frescata Club, turkey with basil pesto, black forest ham and Swiss, and roasted turkey with Swiss. Each came with a distinctive sauce and was served on freshly made artisan bread. A name like Baconator is bound to get even the most jaded fast food fans' attention, even after many years of staring at the Wendy's menu. After biting into Wendy's new creation, many customers were not disappointed. In 2007, the restaurant chain unleashed the Baconator, which boasted 6 strips of hickory-smoked bacon covering a half-pound beef patty with American cheese, ketchup, and mayonnaise. Wendy's also unveiled a new advertising campaign to promote the Baconator. The combination of a catchy name, great product, and media blitz resulted in big numbers for the chain. Wendy's reported that it sold nearly 25 million Baconators in North America in just the first 8 weeks after its introduction. Naturally, given all the excitement, the Baconator is still on the Wendy's menu today, alongside its slightly smaller companion burger, the Son of Baconator. Much like its biggest rivals, Wendy's has a whole slate of chicken offerings on its menu. The oldest and most iconic are their chicken nuggets. From Chance the Rapper to menu hacks for nugget deals and whether or not they're actually chicken, here's the truth about Wendy's famous chicken nuggets. On its website, Wendy's boasts that its chicken nuggets are 100% white meat chicken breaded to crispy perfection. While that statement sounds really nice, it's cleverly deceptive. That's because it doesn't actually clarify how much chicken is in each nugget. While Wendy's isn't offering up the exact methods and rations for making its nuggets, we can try and estimate their composition, thanks to the internet and some hungry data analysts. According to info collected on the data science platform Kaggle, Wendy's chicken nuggets are only about 37% chicken. The other 2/3 of the nugget consists of breading and fat. It's worth noting that Wendy's is not the only fast food chain to come under scrutiny over how much chicken is in its chicken nuggets, and it's not to say that this reality makes those nuggets any less delicious, but you may as well know what you're eating, which is a lot less chicken than you might think. Here's a little secret. If you know how to order the right way, you can save money on every single Wendy's chicken nugget you ever eat. Let us explain. Wendy's offers customers 3 different sizes of chicken nuggets to meet all appetites. However, several sleuthy customers on Reddit figured out that the cost per nugget actually goes up if you order in higher quantities. So basically, if you order more nuggets in smaller quantities, you'll always be saving money. We also looked at a local Wendy's menu to test the theory out, and it held true. A 4-piece nugget order is priced at 99 cents, which comes out to roughly 25 cents per nugget. The ratio stays the same for the 6-piece, which is priced at $1.49. But when you order the 10-piece nuggets at $4.69, the price per nugget almost doubles to 47 cents. So technically, you could get a dozen nuggets in the form of 2 6-piece orders for about $3, which is less money than a single 10-piece order. And if you're really smart, you could get a built-in discount on your 10-piece by simply ordering a 4-piece and a 6-piece together for just under $2.50. We're not sure if Wendy's has caught on to their pricing problem yet, so keep this under wraps. There's no doubt that Wendy's chicken nuggets hold a special place in many people's hearts. The love runs so deep, in fact, that those nuggets helped break an all-time Twitter record. It all started with one guy's major craving for Wendy's nuggets, but he didn't just want to hit the drive-thru, he wanted it all. In 2017, high school student Carter Wilkerson tweeted at Wendy's, "Yo Wendy's, how many retweets for a year of free chicken nuggets?" The company shot back with a cool 18 million, so Wilkerson turned to Wendy's lovers across the internet to help him reach his goal. And while he fell woefully short, he did manage to break the all-time record for most retweets according to Guinness World Records. And as a reward, Wendy's did give Wilkerson free chicken nuggets for a year. Unfortunately, Wilkerson lost his record-holding title to a Japanese billionaire in 2019, but his Nuggets tweet still ranks as the 3rd most retweeted Twitter post of all time. While Wendy's proudly claims to use real, fresh, and high-quality ingredients in all of its food, there's something questionable hiding within the label, and Wendy's chicken nuggets are no exception. A peek at the ingredients list shows that Wendy's uses at least one additive in its nuggets, sodium aluminum phosphate. According to Healthline, this additive is used in fast food and other processed foods for a variety of purposes, including thickening, leavening, and as a preservative.
Processed? That's like when they take a lot of chickens and assemble the respective parts.
While the U.S. Food and Drug Administration says sodium phosphates are generally recognized as safe for consumption, that doesn't mean they don't come with negative health effects. The American Heart Association reported on a UT Southwestern Medical Center study that linked phosphate additives like the ones you find in Wendy's nuggets to lower physical activity and more sedentary habits. And over time, this can lead to an increase in the risk for cancer, other diseases, and mortality. The AHA also noted that previous studies have linked higher phosphate intake to a higher risk of cardiovascular disease and death, particularly in people with kidney disease. We're guessing that you're not hitting up Wendy's a lot if you're worried about your waistline. But for the sake of transparency, it's worth knowing what you're taking in when you chow down on Wendy's chicken nuggets. As expected, they aren't lacking in fat and calories. A mere 6-piece nugget order contains 270 calories and 17 grams of fat, including 3.5 grams of saturated fat. There are also 570 grams of sodium. Go for that 10-piece instead, and you're looking at 450 calories and nearly 30 grams of fat. And this is all before adding on your fries, soda, and dipping sauce. But it's not all bad news. Wendy's chicken nuggets also happen to be a great source of protein, with 15 grams in a 6-piece order. The nuggets will also give you a little nutrient boost in the form of potassium, iron, and vitamin C. We'll preface this by saying this is highly disturbing and also probably unlikely to be happening across the board. But apparently there's a chance your Wendy's chicken nuggets could come with a little plastic chemical coating. One Reddit user whose ex-wife worked at a Wendy's claimed that sometimes laziness got in the way of food safety, writing, "When they were about to fry a new batch of chicken nuggets, the other employees would just dip the bottom of the plastic bag into the fryer so that it would melt and the nuggets would fall out." This is a pretty big deal for obvious reasons, but mostly because consuming plastics can cause an array of dangerous health effects, ranging from indigestion to chronic diseases to cancer. Though it's definitely worth noting that there's nothing to indicate this was more than an isolated incident. In the decades that they've been on the menu, the chicken nugget recipe at Wendy's seemingly has not changed. However, some customers claim to notice something different about the nuggets in recent years, and if you think too hard about it, it may arouse your suspicions. One Reddit user said, "I remember Wendy's nuggets being distinct in that they were always very tender and succulent, but these nuggets were tough, the texture being almost the same as Burger King's weird nuggets." An apparent Wendy's employee agreed with the post, writing, "Our nuggets used to be awesome. Now, even fresh, they taste odd." In a different Reddit post, someone claimed Wendy's nuggets are smaller than they used to be, with another user adding, "They are not as juicy and the breading is thinner." Unfortunately, Wendy's has not verified these claims, so you'll just have to go get some nuggets and decide for yourself. You've got a lot of options out there when it comes to fast food chicken nuggets, but according to many, Wendy's nuggets are some of the best you can get. The folks at Eater taste-tested nuggets from 9 different popular chains and ranked Wendy's as the best of them all, stating quite simply, "These are America's best chicken nuggets."
Now, Wendy's chicken nuggets you have to protect. They're so good, everybody tries to take them.
Eater wasn't the only publication with high praise for Wendy's chicken nuggets. Serious Eats ranked Wendy's as the best traditional nuggets out there. Their nuggets also made the ranking in Pop Sugar for their, quote, consistent crunch, and according to the world of Reddit, Wendy's nuggets are definitely superior to McDonald's Chicken McNuggets. Even Business Insider agreed. After comparing chicken nuggets at Wendy's, Burger King, and McDonald's, they concluded that the chicken nuggets at Wendy's won out with their crispy coating, juicy chicken, and balanced flavor. Wendy's introduced a spicy version of their chicken nuggets to the menu in 2010, and the item quickly became a hit. But here's the thing, their future on the menu isn't certain. Wendy's has taken them away from us before, and who knows if they'll do it again. Wendy's spicy chicken nuggets first disappeared abruptly in 2017. Fans were not happy, and Wendy's took notice. After 2 years of desperate pleas and angry tweets from hungry customers, it was a Twitter post from Chance the Rapper that finally brought spicy nuggets back to the menu in 2019. Wendy's responded by challenging nugget fans on Twitter to like their tweet 2 million times. Perhaps Wendy's forgot what they learned from Carter Wilkerson. Wendy's spicy chicken nuggets remain on the menu today, but some customers have noticed the words limited time offering in commercials and advertisements. Perhaps you should order some right now just to be safe. Wendy's chicken nuggets won't cost you a whole lot, especially if you know the smart way to order them. But if you keep your eyes peeled, you're bound to find an even better deal, since Wendy's seems to frequently feature their chicken nuggets in various promos.
Better food makes it a better value.
Sometimes Wendy's may offer free chicken nuggets at drive-thru locations for a whole day. Other times they'll offer a free 10-piece when you order items through the app. Look out for the 2 for $5 deal and get double the nuggets, or a sandwich to go along with a regular nugget portion for just $5. And sometimes Wendy's will even let you spread the love. In the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, Wendy's offered a deal letting customers send free nuggets to a friend. No snack compares to fast food French fries, especially when you've been out and about driving for hours on end. Whether you have embarked on a road trip or just a long day of errands, making a pit stop for a batch of French fries is one of life's simplest pleasures. Wendy's, despite being a huge name in the world of fast food, might be more well known for its Frosties than fries. Slightly thicker than what you might find at other chains, Wendy's fries get seasoned with sea salt and get served extra crispy.
We love these fries! They're really good!
According to Vox, Wendy's fries use 100% russet potatoes. The potatoes then get cut to shape and cook in vegetable oil until they're golden and simmering. While the French fries themselves don't contain any common allergens, Wendy's notes that the potatoes cook in the same oil as menu items that contain wheat, milk, and fish. If any of those items set off mental alarms, approach this side with caution. For those who like a no-frills traditional fry, Wendy's may be your new favorite stop. Right in the middle of thin cut and wedges, they're a good middle ground and come in 4 sizes: junior, small, medium, and large, making for plenty of options depending on how hungry you are or how many people you need to serve. Most critics seem to agree that Wendy's fries don't stack up well when compared with other similar options. Thrillist ranked them as the 3rd worst fry on a list of 19 options, writing, "They have this odd, barely present but definitely there artificial taste that seems off, visible flecks of potato skin notwithstanding." Insider also didn't approve of Wendy's take on this side, describing them as, quote, disappointingly bland, and citing an uneven salt distribution. Despite the flaws, the particular critic did note the fries weren't greasy, coming ahead of McDonald's. On a brighter note, fast food menu prices also reviewed Wendy's fries and commended the side offering, writing the French fries offered up an earthy, natural flavor that the reviewer found preferable. While Wendy's might not have critics raving, it doesn't mean the fries can't make you happy. What some call bland, others may refer to as simple, and if you like a fry that tastes a little more muted, this side item has your name on it. It could be easy for some to read reviews of Wendy's fries and immediately turn away. Before you write off those French fries for good, however, you should know Wendy's has more than just your run-of-the-mill fry for sale. The chain has 4 different loaded French fry options, and unlike other fast food restaurants, you're not restricted to just ketchup as a topping. According to Wendy's, you can order cheese fries, Baconator fries, chili cheese fries, and pub fries, in addition to the classic fries. Take your pick from cheese fries that come covered in warm, creamy cheese, or Baconator fries that have the same cheese sauce with additional cheddar cheese and applewood smoked bacon. If you want to kick things up a notch, opt for the chili cheese fries, which build upon the standard Wendy's fry and add hearty chili to the mix. The pub fries resemble the Baconator with cheddar cheese and bacon. Instead of a cheese sauce, pub fries come coated in a beer cheese sauce. After throwing these toppings on, it'd be pretty hard to call these French fries bland.
But maybe Wendy's is the best or something?
So how much do Wendy's fries cost and how can you order them? While the cost varies depending on the size, Wendy's fries are priced low and easy to get a hold of. According to real menu prices, a small order of the side costs $1.69, a medium goes for $1.99, and a large comes in at $2.19. If you want some cheese fries or other loaded options, each variation starts at $2.19. Since French fries are such a standard part of Wendy's menu, ordering them is pretty easy. You can grab them at any Wendy's restaurant when you place an order at the drive-thru window or at the register. You can even use the Wendy's app to place a mobile order, so your meal will be ready right when you pull into the parking lot. You can also order the fries as a side without having to order a sandwich. And for a true treat, it's been said that Wendy's fries are best enjoyed when you dunk them in a Frosty. With a versatile side like this, make Wendy's your #1 stop next time you get a craving for some quick fries.